Hello and welcome to Walthall United WFC.
Good afternoon and welcome to Walthall United WFC with me, Anthony. I am joined by Connor. How are you today, Connor?
Yeah, man, all good. I've just realised that rhymes, that does, with Walthall United WFC with me, Anthony. I quite like that. It's quite catchy intro.
Yeah, mix it up a bit. No, I'm glad you're all right. I'm sure you're pretty optimistic, like I am with recent events, result-wise, which we will talk on during the show. But obviously, the last one before Christmas. How's your Christmas plans?
Slightly ruined by what's happening in the men's at the moment. One of the best things about Christmas for me is watching Man United over the Christmas period. So, or watching football in general. It doesn't look like we're going to get either at this rate. So,
no, it's looking uncertain what they're going to decide to do, whether they're going to have a break, which I hope they don't, but we never know. Obviously, the safety of the players is the main focus, but fingers crossed it won't come to that. But we will get on with this afternoon's show. We will discuss last weekend's results. Now, I haven't got any quotes up, but Reading 1, Chelsea 0. Well, that went back to bite us, didn't it? Oh, I can't see Reading scoring. Chelsea are going to win. And lunchtime kickoff, and we know how that one ended up. Reading 1-1-0, which in theory I thought at the time was a good result for us. But then you look back at it, and it in terms, it's not actually a good result for us with the league being so compact. In theory, we would have been better off having Chelsea win just because them and Arsenal are a cut above the rest of the teams currently. But full credit to Reading where it's due. And Reading are on a great run of form at the moment. I believe, if I heard right, they've won 4 out of their last 5 games. And not against just the bottom teams. They've beaten Brighton, obviously Chelsea. So I think Reading in general will be disappointed that their game this weekend is called off due to a COVID outbreak in the City game, which we will briefly touch later on. But what were your thoughts when you saw the score, or I don't know, were you watching the game?
I mean, it was funny because it's Chelsea, but then I thought about what I'd said on this show and what I said on the fans forum last week.
Yeah.
When we were talking about United could drop to 9th, and I was adamant. I said, well, I'm not going to say 10th because Reading are no way going to beat Chelsea. And then,
yes,
obviously we saw what happened. Now, it's weird when you look at the table, actually, because if you look at form over the last 5 games, only 2 teams haven't lost a game in the last 5, and that's Arsenal and Reading. So it's weird seeing Reading in 8th place, because if you'd think that and you think Reading are higher up, but that's obviously the start of the season they had kind of has pulled them back a little bit. But you think if they could have got a couple of results early on in the first 4, they'd be right up there with Spurs and Brighton at the minute, and obviously up there with us. So yeah, it's they're on a good run of form at the moment. To beat Chelsea, that's a great result for them. It was a brilliant goal, actually, on the break. Took it very well and defended because that was what the worry was. I think when they scored, I thought, okay, they won a lot, but they're not going to win this because there's still 80 odd minutes left. It was very early and a very long time to defend. And I think what let Chelsea down was I think they had about 30 odd shots, but only 5 on target. So they were very, very wasteful in their chances. So fair play to Reading, defended well, limited them to 25 shots on goal. So yeah, it's looking good for them. But I think from a Chelsea point of view, obviously after the week that they've had, I know we're going to get on to their next fixture later on. But, you're looking at going back to last week against Reading, if they've got aspirations to win the league, which, obviously they have, they can't be losing those types of games. But it goes back to what I've said every single time I've been on this show, that this league this season is so unpredictable. Anyone's beating anyone from second down to, take Leicester away, from second to 11th. It's open. It's a free run, really, and it gives confidence to a lot of teams.
I'd probably take Birmingham away from that as well.
Yeah, I think Birmingham's a strange, wasn't it? Because they look competitive in some games. They narrowly lost to Villa. I think drew to West Ham. They were unlucky against City. Obviously, I know we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so it's competitive this year, and I think that's a good thing. And Reading is a prime example of that. They had a poor start, but now, like I said, their form is as good as Arsenal. So, if they keep it up, we might be looking over our shoulder at them as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. I couldn't agree more. Obviously, we got our predictions wrong with that game. We both went for a 3-0 to Chelsea. So that obviously didn't play out. But we will now move on to Brighton, Manchester United. It was a 2-0 win for United. I think it could have quite easily been 4 or 5. I was at the game, luckily. I was at the game. You weren't, unfortunately, Connor, but I never really had any hand-in-mouth moments. I felt like we were in total control, and that is the best performance by United by a mile this season. And I'm sure most of you would agree. But what did you think? Obviously, you would have watched it at home or back through the highlights. What was your opinion? Obviously, you would have been really happy, as I was, and you're pleasantly surprised. It sort of came true because I was a bit on the edge, as I discussed last week. We struggle against Brighton away, so to put in that performance was really great. What are your views on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know did I predict 2-1?
You predicted 3-1, and I went for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, so I always thought, I don't know, and I think I put it in our group chat that Nat would be pleasantly surprised. I thought I don't know, I just had a feeling we'd do well because everyone was so down around the club, rightly so. We're on a bad run of form, and it was Brighton away that we've never particularly done quite well at, and so I think there was a lot of negative. And I think when we saw that, well, not me, but I think when the lineup came out, everyone was like, what is he doing? We had 5 midfielders and there was a lot of questions, but that was one of the, I think it is, that's up there with Leicester away and probably the best performance we've had this season. Dominated the game, had lots of chances. Bo Risa could have had a hat-trick within the first 50 minutes, really.
Yeah.
She was excellent. Hayley Ladd coming back in was the pivotal part for me. Completely dominated that midfield. Zellum had a good game. Toon and Staniforth played really well. I think we saw for the first time what Skinner's trying to do with not natural wingers, with the inside forwards that he wants to play with. That's what Toon and Staniforth were doing, because they're not wingers, but they were playing quite narrow, and we created a lot of chances. So it was really positive to see, and obviously we followed it up against Everton midweek. And it's, I think we had I'm just looking here, we had 14 shots on goal. That's a lot when you think about it. The Brighton keeper had a lot of saves to make. We could have won that 4-5-6-0. So it's good that we've beaten a team near us, because we've not done that so far. Obviously, we didn't beat Spurs, we didn't beat Chelsea or Arsenal, didn't beat City, so we've not beaten anyone near us yet. So that was a big plus. So whatever, I put it on Twitter the other day, whatever he changed, whether that's behind the scenes or publicly or whatever Skinner has changed, it seems to have worked, because obviously it wasn't just a one-off, we followed it up against Everton as well. Obviously, if we do it against Villa at the weekend as well. But yeah, it was really good to see. Like I said, I watched it live on TV. I thought it was a proper Man United performance, is the best way I can put it, because defensively solid, kept them to limited chance. I don't remember them having, I think they had a couple of chances in the second half, but other than that, they didn't have that much, and 2-0 and just rode the game out then.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. No, it was all about getting that important second goal, which we sometimes struggle to get But when we got it from Barisa for a first goal, like you said, could have quite easily have had a hat-trick if it wasn't for Megan Walsh and Victoria Williams, which I spoke about on another show previously. It could have been a lot more, but all in all, it was a nice game, comfortable. The atmosphere was brilliant, and we just all went home happy. And it's funny that results make so much difference. If we had went to Brighton and had struggled, the United fans would have been going, "What's Skinner doing? What, 5 in midfield? What is he doing? No wingers." But because it works so brilliantly, everyone's happy and they don't question what he's doing. So, but prediction-wise, I went for 1-1, you went for 3-1. So you got your 2 points in that. We'll move on to Everton-West Ham now. It was a 1-1 draw, which we both predicted Everton would win 2-1. Did you see any of this game? Did you see the highlights? I think West Ham will probably be the happier team considering it was away from home.
No, I didn't see any of the game, I've got to be honest. I think it's probably a better point for West Ham. Like you said, they're the away side. I don't know. I expected Everton to win that, if I'm being totally honest. Obviously, they just come off the back of beating Leicester away. Drew against us, obviously. But, yeah, I don't know. I just thought they might win it. I think, again, it goes back to what I said earlier about it is unpredictable this year, with teams. I mean, West Ham on 13, Everton on 11. Just one of those typical mid-table clashes, isn't it, where it just ends in a one-each draw and nobody really wins because nobody's catching anyone up. There's nothing. You're not going to drop. You're not going to drop to Birmingham and Leicester. So, kind of just got stuck in that kind of mid-table battle. But yeah, I think West Ham will probably be the happier of the two teams. They didn't lose, but I think from an Everton point of view, obviously they lost to us midweek as well, so they're out of the Conti Cup as well. They're going to need to start winning some games. Obviously, we'll talk about their fixture of the weekend later on, but they need to start winning some, because I think they've only beaten Leicester. That's their only win in the last 5. So, yeah, they need to find a win from somewhere against somebody of note because, the change of management, it's not seemed to have made that much of an impact yet.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially when they had aspirations to be battling out for Champions League football. I know, like we said, the table's so close, so it's not out of the question. They only have to go on like a run and have teams around them drop points, and they're right back up in there. But at this moment in time, I think Everton will be a bit disappointed. Obviously, the change of manager they felt like they needed, and I would agree with you. I don't think we've seen much change, especially result-wise, at the moment. So, but like you said, mid-table, it was 7th v 9th, and just a scrappy game where they just battled it out for a 1-1 draw. But that's all I have to say on the Everton-West Ham game, which is 1-1. So we'll move on to the Birmingham-Man City game. Now, it wasn't as plain sailing for City as me and you thought it was going to be, Connor. They won 3-2 at St Andrews, but did go down 1-0 and 2-1. So they went down twice and had to rely on an 89th minute winner from Ellen White to get the 3 points. Now, the injuries they'll be saying, and possibly COVID. I know Emma Hayes has been using that excuse, so we all have to deal with it a bit. But they would have been happy just to get the 3 points in the end, I feel, because they, in theory, they should have been a bit more plain sailing. Birmingham are struggling. They've only scored 4 goals all season, and 2 of them we're against Man City now. So I think, in a weird way, Birmingham will be a bit disappointed they couldn't hold on for that valuable point. But in terms of City, they would have just been relieved to get over the line. I feel. What about you? What are your feelings on it? Would you agree that City were happy just to get over the line in the end?
Yeah, I mean, it had big implications for either team, because you think if Birmingham would have held on and picked up a point, their game against Leicester, they could go in and a point's not too bad for them because they've still got a 2 gap over them. So, but them not picking up any points obviously is disappointing for them. But it's the first game really in the WSL this season I can remember that's been so like mix of emotions. I think most games in the WSL this year has kind of followed the same course. If there's been an upset like we saw Reading and Chelsea at the weekend, like Reading take an early goal and then it's just all Chelsea. You know roughly what's going to happen. There's not really been a game where it's like Birmingham have gone 1-up, then it's 1-1, then 2-1, then 2-2, and then a last minute winner for the away side, obviously being City. We haven't really seen that this year, so it's quite good to see a game like that actually. From a City point of view, that win was hugely important to them because as it stands, they're 2 behind us. If they didn't win that, they've dropped another 2 points. They stay 4 behind. And whether they can catch that back up, maybe not. If we can hit some form, and obviously Tottenham as well. So for them, if they really want to get obviously back in the Champions League, which we know they do, that was massively important. And they might look back on that goal at the end of the season as one of the goals that gets them into the top 3. Those are the kind of moments that I think we've had a few against us, and you look at Spurs especially very late on. And I said after the Spurs game that if we don't make top 3, we'll look back at that as the pivotal moment. And it's the same for City, with that win over Birmingham. They might look back at that and say that was the goal that kind of secured it for us. So yeah, hugely important for them. Disappointing for Birmingham. They've had a few results, haven't they, where they've kind of, like I said at the start, they've been in the game with a lot of these teams, and unfortunate not to have maybe 3 or 4 points in the league. But yeah, they're definitely looking more competitive than Leicester. But yeah, obviously we'll talk about that one in a bit as well. But yeah, fair play to them. 2 goals against City, equaled what we did, exactly. And just unfortunate to lose out at the end.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more there, Connor. So we will now move on to Villa Tottenham, where I predicted it would be 2-1 to Tottenham, and it was Villa 1, Tottenham 2. You predicted 1-0, so you did get a correct result, just not a correct scoreline. But it was just one of them games where you feel that if Tottenham are going to keep their top 3 aspirations alive, then they're the kind of games they'll be thinking we need to pick points up against the likes of Villa, because Villa have been struggling recently. They've got 10 points, but as I was saying the other day, 3 of them was against Leicester, 3 of them was against Birmingham, and they've dropped off a bit recently. So I feel Tottenham would have been happy, considering they had a couple of dodgy results recently as well. So they'd be glad to get back to winning ways. I didn't see too much from Villa really. It's their midfield, like Remy Allen. That's their key player. But for me, it went to form. As I predicted correctly. But what about you, Connor? What's your take on the result?
Yeah, I think it was a close game. I don't think it was an exciting one by any means. I think Spurs just did what they do. They limit the opposition to limited chances, and this sounds really bad, like really cliche, but score more than the opposition. Just they always seem to win by 1 goal this year. Like I said, they're not conceding a lot, but I mean that's a good thing, because if you don't concede, you can't lose. So yeah, they just did what they needed to do, and ultimately, if they're going to get top 3, which I think there's realistically 3 teams, I think that will go for it this year, and Spurs are one of them. If they really want to be there, this is another result that they need to pick up a win, and they've done it. You know, they've kept the gap to us. From a Villa perspective, I said in the last show that they're just not scoring enough. They don't look great defensively. Obviously, we speak to quite a few Villa fans. I don't think they're happy with what's happening at the moment. They're just a weird team to watch. They're not scoring, but they're not conceding. But they are conceding as well. And they're a similar team to what I said about Everton. You know, they need to start winning somewhere. You know, because I don't think anyone wants to be. I think we've said before, isn't it? There's the top two, there's third to 10th, and then there's the bottom two. I don't think anyone wants to come 10th, because then you're technically the bottom of that midi table in the middle. So Villa have obviously got a couple of issues that they need to iron out, but you know, close result against Spurs, not awful, but I think they would have liked to get a bit more than that, especially because they were the home side.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more there, Connor. We'll briefly touch on Arsenal, Leicester. Arsenal won 4-0. You got correct result in this, Connor. You predicted 4-0. I went for 5. It went to form pretty much. Leicester had 10 players for the second half, which didn't help their cause. It's hard enough to beat an Arsenal side when you've got your full quota of players on the field. So I'm sure on that you'll agree with me. It just went pretty much to form. It's just how many Arsenal score on the day. You'd agree, wouldn't you there?
Yeah, I think anyone who betted on Leicester winning or getting anything out of this game is a madman. That was never going to get anything. Obviously, getting a red card just before half time as well. I think if I was Arsenal, this sounds weird, doesn't it, winning 4-0. If I was Arsenal, I'd feel a little bit disappointed, actually, they didn't get more, because playing against a 10-player Leicester team for 45 minutes, when you've got the quality that Arsenal have, I know they made a lot of subs in the second half, but even still, you know, I'd be quite disappointed, because it was 2-0 for a lot of the second half. I don't think they scored again until the 80-odd. I think they scored 2.
I think the sub that come on, Freedom Mannion, scored them both, I think, in the second half.
Yeah, 80. I'm just looking at now, 81st and 83rd. So until then, they didn't get a third goal, which I think maybe they'll look. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. They got the win. They got a good amount of goals, didn't concede. But yeah, I don't think anyone was going to look past a comfortable Arsenal win. Obviously, I got the prediction right. You said 5 as a 4. It was going to be one or the other. But yeah, I think maybe if you're going to be critical of Arsenal, which you can't really be at the moment, you'd probably say you'd have expected them to get a few more.
Yeah, no, definitely. So that brings us to last week's scores. With the predictions, you beat me this week by 2 points. It was 9-11 to you. So after 9 rounds, it's Anthony 83, guests 65. But we will move on to this weekend's round of fixtures. So we'll start with Man United Villa, which is a 12 o'clock kickoff at Lee Sports Village. Played each other 4 times. Not surprised, Man United have won all 4. It's 50-10th odds. You can get United at 1-4, the draw at 4-1, and you can get Villa at 15-2. Now, do you expect more of the same? As we touched, it was definitely the best week in Mark Skinner's time at the club, I feel. Are you expecting us to continue that good form into Christmas? Obviously, with the Everton Conti Cup result as well. So it's definitely, for me, been Mark Skinner's best week as manager in the job so far.
Yeah, obviously as a United fan, I hope so. I think this was a huge week for him. You know, there was a lot of criticism thrown his way before Brighton. You know, after the Leicester game, you know, fans thought we were out of the Conti Cup. You know, we had Brighton coming up. Not many fans thought we were going to win that. So there was a lot of fans kind of on his back, and 2 back-to-back 2-0 wins, 2 clean sheets as well, which is very important, because like I just said about Spurs, they're not conceding a lot, so that means you can't lose. So if we can keep keeping clean sheets, then that's good. But I think Skinner's realised, he needs to start just picking a team that is going to win you that game. He can't. I was just going to wait for that to go back. No, I think.
Sorry, I live in the middle of town.
That's right. He might upset some players and he might upset some fan favourites, but if that's what he's got to do to get wins, he's got to do that. He dropped both wingers for Brighton. We didn't particularly, Galton played on Everton. That's probably the best she's played, and I think that's what you need to do. You need to drop some of these players because they'll come back hungrier than before. So, yeah, I'm expecting a comfortable United win because Villa don't offer too much going forward, so it means we can just go for them from the start and really push on. So I think prediction for me, I think you're probably looking. Oh, it's just going to sound over optimistic. I'm actually going to say 4-0 United.
4-0. I was thinking you were going to go for 3 or 4-0. See, I've gone for 3-0. I just United, they create loads of chances, but they just don't seem to. It's got to come surely at some point, but it just never seems to come. You think, it's going to come this week. We're going to score 5 or 6, and it unfortunately never does. So I've gone for 3, which I quite happily take. Like you agree, I agree with what you were saying. Skinner, if he upsets the apple cart, then so be it. Like you said, Leah Galton coming back, she knows she's got a challenge to be in the starting 11, and that's what you want as a player and what you want to see as fans, because if you're guaranteed to start, then where's the fight to put in your best performance? There isn't, is it? They're just like, I had a bad game today. He's going to start me next week anyway. I'll just brush it under the carpet. So competition is good, and I think bringing in, going to the goalies now, that's been brilliant for Mary Earps this season, that we've had Sophie Bagley. It gives her that competition, because I feel Mary has been great this season in goal. I can't really fault her for any of the goals, or maybe one if I can't remember the top of their head. But like you said, competition is key. And I've gone for 3-0. You've gone for 4. So we'll move on to Chelsea West Ham now. Now, it's as we all know, it's been a bad week for Chelsea. Not only did they lose at Saturday lunchtime against Reading, they also crashed out of the Champions League after a heavy defeat against Wolfsburg. They've playing West Ham, obviously, you wouldn't be surprised. They've won 6 and drawn 1 in the last 4 years against them, 2nd v 7th. The odds still have them at 1-20, 7-1 for the draw, and 22-1 for a West Ham win. Now, we talk about the phrase wounded animals. Chelsea are going to be right up for this, aren't they? They're going to have a point to prove. They're going to be disappointed this last week. And, yeah, they have got the Conte to bounce back on, but they'll have to be challenging for the league as well. So I know Emma Hayes has been using COVID as an excuse. So could we potentially see this being postponed at a later date? Who knows? But we'll talk about the match in terms. How do you expect this to play out with the result that Chelsea had this week with the 2 bad results?
Yeah, I think Chelsea will probably bounce back, and I know I said last week that Reading wouldn't beat Chelsea. Obviously, I know we got that wrong, but I can't see anything other than a Chelsea win again this weekend, and I'm not just saying that to jinx it again.
We'll swing that.
I just think after 2 losses, they're going to be looking now, thinking there's one more game before the Christmas break. They have to win this. Obviously they were both away as well. This is back at Kingsmeadow, isn't it? Back at home. So, yeah, I think if they want to win this title, they've got to win this. They can't fall behind even further. Obviously, we'll get to our Arsenal prediction in a bit, but from a Chelsea point of view, if they lose this, they could end up 7 behind Arsenal, and I can't see them closing that gap. And to be fair, though, if it does happen, it goes back to a prediction that I said on this show, actually, one of the first ones I did, that Arsenal would run away with the league. And to be fair, if West Ham can put a result against Chelsea at the weekend, we might see that. So, yeah, I think it'll be close, but I can't see. I think Chelsea at home will be different. Chelsea, after 2 losses, they're not going to want to lose again, for sure. I think it was just a blip this week. I think, going into I think you'll see this a lot this weekend because everyone can go flat out this weekend because there is no game next week or the week after. There's a break now. So I think Chelsea will probably walk this 3-0.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've gone for 3-0 as well. And you can get 3-0 at 5-1. So the experts obviously agree as well. The 3-0 for Man United was 8-1 going back to that, and 4-0 was 12-1. But no, I agree with you. I think it was a blip. I fully expect Chelsea to bounce back. They'll be disappointed. They can use whatever excuses they want to use. But I still think Chelsea will bounce back. 3-0, like you said. I agree with you. So that leads us on to the relegation 6-pointer. Now, Leicester, Birmingham, they've never played each other. It's 12th v 11th. Odds of 13-10 for the Leicester win, 9-4 for the draw, 13-8 for the Birmingham win. So, oddly, the experts have Leicester as slight favourites, maybe with home advantage being what's swinging them that way. But it's a huge 6-pointer in the battle for safety, isn't it? Would you go to go as far the loser of the game this week will get relegated, or do you still think it's slightly too early to maybe have that printed as like a certainty?
It's weird, isn't it? Because barring United Villa, I'm really, really excited for this game because it's a proper 2-way battle. I think if Birmingham lose, they can still stay up. If Leicester lose, then they're in trouble. I think they probably will go down from there. I think this is a bigger game for Leicester. It's a huge game for both of them, don't get me wrong, but I think Birmingham have looked better against everyone else. They've looked like they can compete, whereas Leicester just haven't. I know they've conceded 2 late goals to Brighton and Everton, and their season could be different if they'd held on for a draw there. But yeah, it's Leicester have obviously got the home advantage. They have to win this. I said on last week's show that this game is a 6-pointer because when the reverse fixture as well when they play each other. It's. If Birmingham win, they go on to 4, Leicester on 0. Are they going to claw back 4 points and then have to go to St Andrews later in the season as well? I can't see it, but maybe they could. Weirder things have happened this season. We've seen some shock results already this year. So I'm really, really excited for this. I never thought I would be, but I'm actually really intrigued to see who comes out on top here because I think for the most part, I think it's going to be a quite boring game because I think
it's a bit cagey.
Yeah, both sides will be nervous because neither side are going to want to lose because Birmingham are not going to come at Leicester and obviously conceding that Leicester go on to 3, Birmingham's down 1. So neither team are going to want to lose this. So I can't wait for it because I am intrigued. But I think if you're asking me prediction, crikey, just because they've got the home advantage, I'm going to give Leicester their first point. I don't think they're going to win. I'm going to say 2 each.
2 each. Interesting. Now, I agree with what you've been saying. It's it is a bigger game for my eyes for Leicester with home advantage in that. Like you said, 4 points if they lose. If they draw, then 2 points isn't a massive gap. But they may be thinking, where is the win going to come from if they can't beat Birmingham at home? Prediction-wise, I've backed Leicester before, and I don't know why, but I am going to back Leicester to win.
Oh.
So Leicester, don't let me down. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 Leicester win. And if they don't, I'm never going to predict Leicester to win a game again.
I'm so excited for it. It's really weird. I'm really excited for this. Because I think the top of the table, it's not really close at the moment. There's 4 points. Obviously, we're battling for top 3, but this is a proper old-fashioned relegation battle. So this game is so big. It's big for both teams, but for Leicester, 0 points. I think I said to you on this show before that confidence plays a big part. And I think I referenced this game, actually, that if they get to this game on 0 points, this game then amplifies in pressure. If they go into the Christmas break, halfway through the season on 0 points, they're probably looking at the table then going, when are we going to get a point? They need to pick a point up somewhere. Otherwise, they're going down. So the pressure on those Leicester players is going to be huge. So that's why I think it's going to be quite a cagey 2-each draw, because I just think both sides are going to be super nervous. There's going to be a lot of mistakes in there, I think. It will come down to who can handle the pressure the most. Interesting.
No, I fully agree with you regarding it. I just think, you are right. If they look at the table, 10 games in, 0 points. I know they've got a new manager now, so she's had a bit more time to work with the Leicester players. So we might see a bit more what she's bringing to them. But I guess we'll see when we see the game on Sunday afternoon. So I'm going to touch briefly now on this game, which has been called off due to COVID cases in the Man City squad. It was going to be 6th v 8th. The experts did have City at 1-4, a draw at 4-1, and a win for Reading at 8-1. Now, what makes it interesting is last week you could have Reading to win 1-0 at 80-1. To have that same scoreline this week, you could have only got 33-1. So it shows that knock-on effect from them beating Chelsea to think the experts thinking, we don't want this happening again. We definitely need to lower it. But like we discussed earlier, City did win last time out. Reading had that brilliant result. Do you feel Reading will be disappointed that the game's off? They would have looked at the Birmingham game and thought maybe, Man City are for the taking here. We're on good form. Confidence is high. Man City are a bit leaky. And they could have got another scalp, I feel. What do you...
Yeah, when it goes back to what I just said about Leicester, in terms of confidence, Reading will be high on it at the moment. Like I said at the start, that they're on the same form as Arsenal right now. So I think and it's what like any sports person will tell you, when you're high on confidence and you're winning games, obviously they drew in the middle of that, but they're winning most of the games they're playing at the moment. You want to just play again. You look into the next game and you just go, we've just, so buzzing off a win that you just want to play another game. So I think they will be gutted that it's called off. I think from a City point of view, I don't think they'll be, happy that it's called off, but I think they'll be more, not relieved, but they'll probably be happier out of the two teams. But yeah, from a Reading point of view, that I would feel gutted because I said they're on great form and who knows how long they're going to have to wait now, because obviously when they come back after Christmas, looking at the fixtures there, they're going to have to fit this game in somewhere. So, I would be gutted if I was Leicester. Like I said, you just want to keep playing games when you're winning and keep grinding, grinding out these results. But that can't be the case. And it's unfortunate for them because who knows what these teams, we don't know what the country is going to look like when we come back after Christmas, what the teams are going to be like after the Christmas break. We don't know. We don't know for a lot of teams. But see, I think from Reading's point of view, and maybe from City, because City are now going to be a game behind. Same with Reading, obviously. But so City, whenever they look at the table up until when they play this game in hand, will look at it and go, we're 4 points behind or we're 5 behind. So it's going to look a bit worse for them. So maybe that's a psychological thing as well. It's just unfortunate. Obviously, we've seen it a lot in the men's, and obviously there's talk of that being fully postponed. But the women's game has that luxury that it's going to break anyway. It would have break regardless of COVID. So, yeah, it's a shame because I hate looking at the table with teams having games in hand. But from a Reading point of view, yeah, I'm sure they're going to be gutted that game's not going ahead.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. No, I thought you would have said that as well, to be fair. But and I wasn't actually gonna back Reading to win. I was gonna back it to be a 2-2 draw. Did you have any idea, or did you not really think about it?
I probably would have gone for a City win if I was being honest. I think yes, Reading are on great form, and I think they would have put a good fight in. But yeah, I think City. I don't know. I probably would have gone for a City win, but wouldn't have been surprised if it would have been a draw or the other way.
Yeah, no, definitely. So we'll move on to Tottenham v Everton. They've played each other 4 times. Surprisingly, Tottenham have not beaten Everton at all. It's 3rd v 9th. You can get Tottenham at 6-5. You can get the draw at 11-5, and you can get Everton at 9-5. So even though they haven't beaten Everton before, you can get Tottenham as slight favourites. For me, I think home advantage could play a part here again. I've not really been convinced with Everton. Performance-wise, I can't really remember a performance from there where it stood out and you've taken notice of it. I think, like we said, they've been a bit disappointing this season. What are your views on the Tottenham Everton game? Obviously, Tottenham will be happy being 3rd.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say on this one. I think whenever I've watched, I agree with what you were just saying. I've not been impressed with Everton this year. I don't think they've looked threatening in any game they've played, if I'm being totally honest. Certainly didn't look any decent. They had a few chances against us midweek, but they weren't great. Obviously, I'd like them to do us a favour because then we could go into Christmas in 3rd. But I can't see it. Everton just don't pose a threat going forward, and when you've got the defence like Spurs have this year, and the fact that they're just not conceding, you're looking at it going, where are they going to get through? And yeah, I think with Spurs having the home advantage as well, yeah, I can't look past. I think it'll be probably a 2-0 Spurs win. I just don't think Everton have got enough to break through that Spurs back line.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. They haven't got enough bite up top. Not really creating enough either, really, to be fair. I fully agree with what you said. I expect Tottenham to win, but I've gone for it's just typical Tottenham by 1 goal. So I've gone for a 1-0 Tottenham win. I just feel Tottenham, they always nick that goal. And then, like you said, their defence is just solid this year with the likes of Ashley Neville and Molly Bartrip and that. So they'll be hard to break down. And like you said, I just feel like Everton don't have that firepower to break a team like Tottenham down at the moment. But we will move on to the last game now, which is Arsenal v Brighton. We've played each other 7 times in the last 4 years. Not surprisingly, Arsenal have won all 7. So they're 1st v 4th. You can get the experts at 1-14 for an Arsenal win, 6-1 for a draw, 21-1 for a Brighton win. Now, Arsenal did get heavily beaten in the Champions League, and will be disappointed with that result. Luckily for Arsenal, they did manage to scrape qualification, so they'll be happy that they're in all the cups still. Do you expect more of the same from Arsenal? With Brighton, like I said, they're a funny team, but they've been a bit disappointing these last few weeks. Or do you think Brighton can bounce back and maybe pull off a shock or get a point?
I think Brighton will put up a fight, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to beat Arsenal. I say that with conviction.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't see it. I think, yes, Arsenal got beat, but I mean, they played Barcelona, right? So, yeah, I think completely different opposition, Barcelona and Brighton. So,
we'll correct you there. It was Hoffenheim.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, 4-1 to Hoffenheim.
Oh, I'm thinking of a few weeks ago then.
Yeah, you are. They did, obviously, but.
Yeah, I mean, even still, I mean, completely different opposition to Brighton. Brighton are a good team, don't get me wrong, but I don't think they've got enough to get through this Arsenal side. So I think are Arsenal at home as well. So
yeah, they are. Yep.
Obviously, Arsenal winning actually does us a favour. Obviously, if we win, because then we jump Brighton and we create a 3-point gap over them as well. Brighton have lost the last 2 as well, so. For them, I think it's bad front of form if they lose another one. So I think from a prediction standpoint, it's a tougher one than I thought because Arsenal have only conceded 3 goals all season. So I can see them keeping another clean sheet. But are they going to bat? They only put 4 past Leicester. 3. I'm going to say 3 now.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you there. I've also gone for 3-0. I just feel like, Arsenal can score and score and score, but I feel Brighton, even though they didn't really show much last week, they can be quite good at the back. I think they will limit the goals. They put their bodies on the line, Brighton. So it won't all be plain sailing in terms of goals like the 4-5, 6-0. So I'm like you, I agree. I think 3 goals will be enough for them. And like you said, it will be a great result for us if we beat Villa. Takes us into New Year confidence. If results go our way, we could be in the top 3, which is where we want to be. Nearly halfway through the season. It's a bit of a weird one how our halfway stage is the game after Christmas and New Year. But like you said, it depends where we are in the world with things going on at the moment. Fingers crossed we still will be able to cheer everyone on from stadiums because there's nothing better, especially us United fans, the girls, they always mention it, how they love the energy. And we don't want them to have to deal with quiet stadiums again, which I'm sure no one does really. But with Arsenal, it's just going to be another day at the office, I feel. But hopefully we haven't put a jinker on it because, like you said, we're not going to finish first or second. So in a weird way, we actually do want Arsenal to win that game, which is weird when you think about it. But in terms of that, yeah, if Arsenal win, I'll be quite happy. It would be a good Christmas as long as we win, because it's 2-3 weeks is a long time to put things right, isn't it? When you have such a big gap. What you agree with, you?
Yeah, I think from a United standpoint, I don't even care how we play as long as we get the win. That's the main thing this weekend. Obviously coming up to the Christmas break, like you just said there, who knows what it's going to be when we come back, away at West Ham, our first game back. So just need to make sure like I said, we don't want a sour taste in our mouth, like, going off with a draw or a loss and then 3 weeks until the next game, because there's nothing worse as a football fan than having to wait over a break when you've just lost. So we can get a win. We could end the weekend in highest third. We could be fourth. I don't think that's the end of the world if we're fourth. And the race for top 3 is well and truly on. So yeah, it is all just about the win this weekend. Unless I don't care who we play. I don't care how we play. Sorry, I don't care who we play. We could play whatever team he wants to put out as long as they get the win. And then we go again, so to speak, in the new year. And like I said, 3 weeks is a long time to wait. I think it is 9th of January. So yeah, it's all about the win. We've got enough to beat Villa, like I said, but in the context of the table, could be a few happy fans. Arsenal could extend the gap. Even if they keep the gap, it's still good for them. My prediction of them walking away with the league is looking a bit more likely now. And obviously, from a United standpoint, it will look better for us because, like we've said repeatedly through this, 2-3 weeks ago, we were a bit worried where we could end up. So, it's looking a bit better, and it will look even better should we get 3 points at the weekend.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with you, Connor. That brings the show to an end. Tonight, you can see my lovely face again on Matt and Ben's show. So tune into that also. And then Sunday, you'll have all for United on the road. I believe there'll be the normal content. But before I do go, I want to wish all viewers from around the world Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And once again, thanks for listening to us this season. It's been really good that John's given us this chance to have this show. So I want to thank John for that, and thanks for helping out, Connor. Hope you have a good Christmas as well. And we'll see you all bright